Hello and welcome, Victoria and Gillian here from Money, Love, Immersion. We're here today to talk more about money relationships and what we mean by money relationships, because we talk about money relationships all the time. But for most people, it's a bit of a funny concept. But firstly, before we get started, I've noticed when we do Google money relationship, what comes up is kind of all of this information about how to talk to our partners about money, how to have difficult conversations about money, how to set budgets and allocate money in a partnership. So there is nothing out there really that's saying you can be having a relationship with money. And so this is quite a different approach that we take. Gillian, do you want to say a bit more about this?
Yes. So I think the first thing that people say when we talk about money relationships is, well, how can you have a relationship with money? Money's a thing. Um, and so I think that's really the most useful place to start, is that relationships to us is a connection. I mean, you are in relationship with anything and anyone that you know. Um, and it's a connection between the two beings and all things. And with our human relationship, there's always an emotion attached and an interpretation, and how do you view it? I mean, you could have hated your school, or you could have loved your school, depending on how you viewed your childhood. So you have a relationship with the memory of your school. And I think it's the same with money, is that generally when you start digging into it, you'll find that people who have money blocks and who have money plateaus and don't seem to be able to grow their wealth will actually have some sort of nervous or frightened or fearful or negative emotion around money. And that's what we define as that relationship. Is it's like, how do you actually feel about money? What is the connection you have with money? And then of course it comes down to, well, then those feelings then influence how you react or respond or make choices because of this influence of the feelings. So I think really that's, I mean, it's in a nutshell, and it's a lot to say in 1 minute. But the money relationship is, firstly, that yes, you absolutely do have a relationship with money, whether you know it or understand it or not.
And that's such an interesting concept because, well, for so many of us, we just didn't have a relationship with money. You know, many of the clients we work with are like, what? What are you talking about? Because we just kind of go through life with money happening to us, don't we? We kind of, we've done talks before about money stories and those sorts of things that are sort of deeply embedded in our identity. But for so many people, we have an awareness that we can do a bit more work, or maybe set up a sideline or a business, and we can potentially create more if we do more. But it kind of feels like money feels a bit like it's there, it's happening to us. We don't, and even then, when we know we can perhaps do make some changes or save some money or sell something, it's still kind of done from, oh, not from the relationship. It's kind of done from sort of, I suppose, wider our circumstances, isn't it? Can you kind of unpick a little bit more of what I've talked about there, because you're so good at honing in?
Well, I was just, I mean, as you were talking there, I was just thinking that I think that's really it, is that um, we generally see money, and I was just summarizing, as a head game. It's a mental game, it's a mind game. Money's a thing. It shows in your bank account, it's in your wallet, it's what you use to pay. I mean, in reality, it's not even a thing. It's an exchange, it's an agreement. This house is worth X amount. I get paid X amount for my services. I mean, we just transferring monies. I mean, you can get plastic pens, my favorite, for almost nothing, and you can get really, really expensive pens that cost more than a house for some people. So it's like, what number do you put to something? So money is a very strange concept, and we try and figure it out in our heads, but there is this emotion attached. I mean, the person who wants to use all their money to buy that fancy pen instead of perhaps something else that if someone else would say, that's crazy, if I had that much money, I would buy a holiday, or I would buy the car, or I would redo my kitchen. I don't know. People will have different values. And this is where, in the end, money is emotion. And we just keep trying to solve money blocks with more head work, instead of going down to the heart and understanding our feelings and kind of unraveling those. And I think that's the key, is that to get from your heart to your head, and your head back down to your heart, and figuring out how these two work together is often not taught very clearly in a step-by-step way. You have people who are focusing on the mind game and people that are focusing on the heart game, but how do the two work together? Because they do. We're human beings that sort of we put it all together and then make a decision or take an action.
Absolutely.
That's where the money relationship enters into the fray there.
Yeah, we can't bypass, can we, those emotions? And actually, if we were to take a money relationship and sort of almost imagine that it was a good relationship that we're in, we don't just sit there, do we? In a relationship, we don't just sit there. We don't, our kids don't come in and we just ignore them, or or something happens and we just decide that we can't do anything and sit back. We, generally speaking, I mean, there'll be times when it's harder, of course, because it's the emotions, but we are present in our relationships, aren't we? In our good relationships anyway. And I know we have some very difficult relationships as well, many of us. But if we were to look at a really good relationship that we're in, we're present, we're responding, we're listening, we're using all of those things, aren't we, in our relationship to make it stronger. And really, what we need to be doing is exactly the same when it comes to money.
Yeah, and that self-reflection is there. I mean, if you're in a negative relationship, or one that you don't enjoy, with a fellow human being, and so let me be very clear, and it's one that you want to nurture, because we're not human relationship coaches, so I know that there are some relationships that maybe for some people it's better to just say bye-bye, but in one that you really want to nurture, so I don't know, maybe there's a colleague that you have to work with and it's really not good, a good relationship, in a positive approach, you would look at yourself, you would self-reflect, you would think, okay, well, how can I behave differently? How can I understand differently? Could I look at what that person is maybe going through? Is there maybe something that I need to actually perhaps chat with them, get out in the open? Have I communicated my needs clearly? And there's all those relationship things, which I mean, I'm summarizing in half a minute, but yes, you are proactive in a healthy relationship that you want to nurture. And you also have expectations, and you kind of meet appointments and deadlines, and I don't know whether it's a date night and it's a romantic partner, or whether it's a work colleague that you're going to have a 10-minute conversation every morning so that you can just check goal alignment. I mean, it doesn't matter the type of relationship, whether it's kids or whoever. It's you are proactive and you show up. So be present means all those things, just because you and I really don't like saying big words without saying, well, what's the practical application of these words? So that's what being present means. It's actually showing up and thinking about it and being self-aware.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it is. And so is this kind of the first step when we're looking at building a relationship with money? We've talked about feelings and how we currently feel. And when we suddenly, if people watching this are going, okay, so how do I start building this relationship with money? Is it awareness? Is it feelings? Where's a really good place for our audience to start?
Well, self-awareness is really the first step, bringing the subconscious conscious, recognizing that there is this relationship. And I mean, the process is to recognize and then understand where you're at. Because I think, and I think this is the block that so many people encounter when doing traditional sort of money mindset or manifesting work. It's like, we'll start with the end in mind, but sometimes the end is so very far from where you're at that you actually just can't imagine it. How can I behave as if I'm wealthy and happy and have all the money in the world when actually the thought of managing money scares me, and I've never experienced that in my life. Sorry about that. So it's really about, where am I now and what's my next step? How do I just make it that much better? And I think that's a very guided incremental process, and there's lots of tools, and I mean that's part of what we discuss in our program and teach in our program, is those incremental steps, because it takes a bit of time. It's like going from being really unfit to getting fit. Doesn't happen overnight, and there's a series of steps, but it starts with awareness and acknowledging that this relationship needs attention, and that's where the healing has to take place, and the work. So I think that's really the first step, is acknowledging and recognizing that there is this relationship that needs some attention.
Yeah, absolutely. So first step is notice you are having a relationship with money, that you are going to be in a relationship with money for the whole of your life. It's not uncommon for us to work with people who can sort of say things like, well, I'm not doing it for the money, or it's not as important, and all of those things. But actually what we need to do is start acknowledging that actually you are in a relationship with money, and you will be for your whole life, so that you can be housed, fed, sheltered, whatever else your needs are. So that's a really important part as well. And I think as you were talking through the sort of steps there as well, I was thinking about how it's also about really this focus on the relationship, isn't it? Because, you know, we have supported people through our program who are doing incredibly well in business, but have just got stuck at the next level. So they've kind of had money ceilings. We've worked with people that have been stuck in that cycle of feast or famine, and, you know, just been panicking and even panicking when they're having really good months, and worrying as well. But I think this is about acknowledging the relationship, isn't it? And not so much looking at those circumstances. And I think this is what we want to sort of say to you. This is not about you doing an audit and sitting there going, well, I owe this much, or that client owes me, or whatever else it is. It's about you looking at your relationship in the here and the now, isn't it? And that's where your power is, actually, because that's where you can start to make changes immediately. It's not dependent on anything else. So that's the process, isn't it? Starting at that point, and, you know, notice the relationship, but it's about the relationship, yeah, not about all the other circumstances.
And in those examples, if you want a barometer of whether your relationship needs some loving attention, is if sitting down to audit your finances stops your heart and makes you feel all tight inside, if looking through your invoices owed and you realize that there's a lot of money outstanding and you have to now sit and chase people to pay you, if that gives you cold shivers and gives you a headache, or if you're getting any negative emotional response about managing your money, putting up your prices, calling in debt, maybe you've got a lot of money and you need to invest it, and you're too scared to even go and talk to an investment broker because you think that you don't know enough. I don't know, there's all sorts of things. But if any of those bring up negative emotions, then that's pointing to the money relationship, because it's about how confident you are, how trusting you are, how open you are, how curious you are. And those are the things, those are the types of positive, on the positive scale, expansive really is the word. It's on the expansive emotion scale that you want to be operating when it comes to finances. whether your actual financial situation is what you consider rock bottom or pretty good, but you want to go further, the issue is, how do you feel? And does that relationship need to be more expansive and supportive? You're gone on mute.
I suppose in summary, I was just going to say there that I often talk about the fact that, we're here and we want to be over here when it comes to our finances. And what we're often encouraged to do, as you've said throughout this, is that we're encouraged to go over there, think positively, embody wealth, and all of those things. But actually, what we're doing is we're just skipping over this gap, and this gap has got huge clues for us all, hasn't it? Because and the thing is as well, there really is no one size fits all. Everyone has very different experiences, emotions, all sorts of things in the gap for people. And so working through that for you to uncover how powerful you are is really important, isn't it? And this is what we talk about in Money Love Immersion, is being the bridge that takes you from where you are to getting to that point, so that you can, as you say, be in expansion, rather than sort of sitting there thinking, oh, I'm thinking positively for 20 minutes and then, oh my goodness, that bill's just come through the post and now I'm spiraling and I'm feeling really rubbish and what have you, because that's not being in expansion, is it? That's bringing us straight back down into that spiral. So this is what we talk about with the program, isn't it? Is that it helps people to move from where they are to where they want to be. But always starting with acknowledging your relationship and your feelings is really important. The doors are open right now, aren't they, for our Money Love Immersion program? So I feel that we should just talk a little bit about that today, because I'm sure it will help people who are catching up on this or watching. So do you want to start off, Gillian, and tell people a little bit more about what they can expect joining Money Love Immersion?
Yeah. So Money Love Immersion, it's a 30-day immersion. So warning, alert, it's 30 days of daily activities, because we are working on a relationship and we're working on a new habit, and we're all about action. This is not more knowledge. This is not sitting through sort of a 6-hour Netflix style delivery of content. This is drip feeding you, because none of us want to sit and do hours of activities. So this is drip feeding every single day, a little activity that's been carefully crafted to get you to a point where you can really understand your relationship and make meaningful changes already during those 30 days. So I think that's the important part, is it's 30 days. It's light in that it's not very time consuming. Usually the resistance comes with, you are working on something that you might have been bypassing. However, if you want to truly transform your relationship with money and get a really strong foundation so that you can get that from there to there, and accelerate it, this is the way, because the relationship is the foundation. So yeah, in simple terms, it's a daily activity with a video, with a small PDF, and some deep questions, some thought work, and to really get you to look at your relationship and move on from it. So I think that's the essence of what we do in Money Love Immersion. Perhaps you can talk more about how we support our people, because giving up on a habit is very easy if you don't have
it certainly is. It certainly is. And just to say, it's an immersive experience, but it is 30 days as well. So yes, it's an immersion, but in a month from joining, you can have absolutely radically transformed your relationship. How do we support people? Well, we have a community. And through that community, people have access to both of us, don't they? So they can hop in and ask questions, and we will support and guide. We also offer 4 coaching calls during the course of the 30 days. Well, just slightly beyond maybe, but we offer that support to help people to come and share. Perhaps if they have felt some resistance, they can get some support around that. Often when people are delving, they uncover all sorts of things, and we are there to support. And we want people to be kind to themselves. So we're always very present in the group, because we recognize that deep work, yeah, lots comes up. So we're always there to help. So yeah, that's how we support people in the actual program so that they can make progress from where they are to where they want to be. This is what it's all about, just absolutely getting those foundations straight so that you can, create from that space of expansion. And so we are always at hand to support. Have I missed anything, Gillian?
No, except I just want to remind people that we know you don't want to buy 30 days of activities, and we know you don't want to buy for support calls or support. What you're actually getting is this transformation. You're getting this new relationship with money, a more confident, expansive approach to money, really working on stopping that heart-stopping worry or anxiety around it, and to give you the tools to do that by looking at relationship instead of looking at the mind game. This is not thought work. This is not just doing it harder, focusing more. This is about really getting into how you as a human are relating to money and resolving that. And we do this through the daily support and the daily tools to gently guide you step by step. You can get there.
Absolutely. So if people are watching this and they're ready to ease that tension, to transform their relationship with money so that they can create greater fulfillment in their business and lives, they can click on the link, which I will pop on this YouTube video, and we will also make sure the link goes out alongside it with social media as well. So yeah, you can get in touch if you're interested. But as we say, just in summary today, your money relationship is probably one of the most important relationships you are going to have, along with the one you have with yourself as well throughout your life, because you are going to need money for the whole of it. So actually starting to shine some awareness on that, acknowledging that you will be having a relationship with money and looking at how you feel really is the place to start. Have you got anything else to add, Gillian, before we wrap up?
No, just excited for our new group, which starts the 23rd, Monday.
Brilliant. Yeah.
3rd of October. Looking forward to our new participants.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, everyone. We will be back with another conversation next week. Thank you for listening, and get in touch if you have any questions. Thank you.